Hello MotoGP enthusiasts, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez has made a public plea for Francesco, Pecco, Bagnaia to return to top form ahead of the 2026 MotoGP season, insisting Ducati needs both factory riders firing on all cylinders if the team is to stay ahead of a fast-improving field. Luca Marini admits earning Honda's faith after Marc Márquez's departure wasn't instant. But by the end of 2025 the Italian felt he'd won over the HRC engineers. From a low-scoring debut to a breakthrough second season, Marini's progress mirrors Honda's recovery. Marc Márquez is already in talks over a contract renewal with Ducati, but sources say the discussions are leaning toward a one-year deal that would run him through 2027. The move would give Márquez flexibility ahead of the major technical reset in 2027 while keeping him at the heart of the factory's plans for now. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. In a candid interview, Marc Márquez underlined the importance of Bagnaia to Ducati's development and competitiveness. Márquez argued that Bagnaia's sensitivity on the bike, while it has made this season difficult for him, is precisely what can help the factory understand and improve the set-aside for 2026. Márquez framed the request not as criticism but as a team plea. Ducati needs Pecco back on his level to maximize the factory's potential next year. We need Pecco that comes back on his level because he's super sensitive on the bike and it will help a lot for the future. Márquez's words matter because he dominated the championship in 2025, piling up a substantial points gap even after missing the final races due to injury. That performance gave him a unique vantage point. He sees the set-aside's strengths and also the areas where another top rider's feedback could make a measurable difference. In short, a returning Bagnaia at full speed would sharpen Ducati's development window in winter testing and beyond. For me, the speed of Pecco is there, the speed is there, he is showing in some practices, in some races. Bagnaia's 2025 campaign has been a study in contrast, flashes of the speed that once brought him multiple titles, punctuated by non-scoring weekends and sensitivity to setup changes that made consistent results elusive. The issue is not a lack of talent, it's a combination of setup sensitivity, unlucky incidents and a set-aside that in places didn't provide the same front-end feel he'd enjoyed in 2024. Ducati and Bagnaia now face the task of using the off-season to reset, recalibrate, and find the small margins that turn good results into great ones. Sometimes, only 2 months are enough to reset everything. So December and January will be the best time for Pecco to reset everything and restart in Malaysia test. Meanwhile, Ducati's rivals didn't stand still in 2025. Aprilia surged late in the season, KTM and Pedro Acosta inserted themselves frequently into podium battles, and Honda made significant progress in the Asian rounds. That growing competition means Ducati cannot rely on a single dominant rider. It needs multiple internal references to iterate the bike quickly and stay ahead of technical and tactical advances from other manufacturers. Márquez's call for Bagnaia to return at full strength is therefore strategic. The team's championship caliber edge depends on having both factory riders contributing at peak level. We are in MotoGP, it's racing. At the end, if I'm in Ducati, I'm in the best team and I have the best bike. The story now turns to the winter. Will Bagnaia find the resets Márquez believes are possible in time for pre-season testing? Can Ducati's engineers use dual feedback from two top riders to polish the set-aside before rivals make further gains? If Márquez's plea is answered, Ducati could arrive in 2026 with both the raw speed and the development insight needed to defend its advantage. But if not, the field is ready to pounce. Arriving at Honda after Márquez's exit, Marini initially faced an environment accustomed to one of the sport's most successful riders. That created a natural skepticism. Engineers used to working with a proven championship-winning reference took time to accept a new voice. Over the season, however, Marini's consistent, clear feedback and improving lap times shifted that dynamic. He says the change wasn't overnight. It was built through tests, race weekends and repeatable technical guidance that the team began to act on. The result was a deeper role in development conversations and a stronger influence on setup directions for the RC213V. I think now I have their trust. So every time I speak, they are not only listening, but they also do what I request. The improvement is measurable. After a difficult debut season with just 14 points, Marini closed 2025 with a markedly better tally, finishing the year on 142 points despite missing 3 rounds following injuries at Suzuka. That leap illustrates not only personal adaptation but also the RC213 versus performance evolution across the year. Honda's package moved closer to the front, and Marini converted that progress into stronger race results and more influential technical input. So every time I speak, they are not only listening, but they also do what I request. Marini emphasized that being trusted isn't only about accurate telemetry, it's about leadership inside the garage. He stressed the human element, creating calm under pressure, coordinating mechanics and engineers, and helping manage the stresses that come with a packed MotoGP calendar. For Honda, a factory long used to winning, rebuilding the culture after a difficult period required a rider who could give precise technical input while also helping to steady the team. Marini believes he's taken on that role, contributing to a healthier, more productive paddock atmosphere. Not only technical feedback, also on the human side, creating a great atmosphere inside the garage is super important in this new MotoGP era. Honda's on-track progress this season had tangible consequences. The factory moved up a concession class, from D to C, for 2026, reflecting measurable improvement and giving the team different technical levers for development next year. Marini's reliable feedback and growing leadership make him an asset in that process. He's now one of the voices Honda will use to interpret test data, validate new parts, and prepare for the 2026 season and beyond. In short, Marini's rise from newcomer to trusted reference helps Honda translate hardware gains into on-track competitiveness. They are used to winning every GP. Now we are starting from the bottom, but the target is to come back and fight for victory from next season. Luca Marini's story this year is one of gradual, durable progress, improved results, greater influence in engineering decisions, and leadership inside the Honda garage. For Honda, the critical next steps will be to convert that trust and the concession upgrade into consistent podiums. For Marini, the challenge is to maintain momentum, stay healthy, and keep shaping the RC213V so that the team can return to the front. One season's patience appears to be turning into next season's promise. Team and rider insiders suggest Márquez prefers a one-year renewal rather than signing a multi-year contract now. The reasoning is tactical. 2027 brings a significant change in regulations, from aerodynamic rules to concessions resets, that could reshuffle the competitive order. By choosing a single-season extension, Márquez would keep his options open, avoid being locked into an uncertain project, and evaluate the new technical landscape before committing longer term. At this stage of his career, Márquez must balance peak performance windows against the risk that rule changes make a particular bike less suited to his style. The report notes that adaptation is not only about machinery but also about physical condition and riding style, factors that grow more critical the longer a rider stays at the top level. A one-year deal would give Márquez the calm to manage his seasons intelligently while retaining the freedom to choose the best environment when the new regulations land. Ducati has made Márquez a clear priority, and earlier meetings reportedly showed a strong desire from the factory to lock him down. But the negotiations are said to hinge on key commercial and sporting items, notably salary and the resources earmarked for the second factory rider. The factory understands the value Márquez brings. Equally, Márquez wants assurances that the team will maintain the technical investment necessary to keep him competitive under evolving rules. A one-year deal is being viewed as a compromise that preserves both sides' flexibility. The wider paddock is already reorganizing ahead of the 2027 rulebook, so Márquez's potential one-year contract would be more than personal caution. it's a tactical edge. By keeping his options short, he could assess how other manufacturers interpret the new rules and pick the best competitive package for the next cycle. The article frames this not as distrust of Ducati but as a rational career move for a rider who wants to remain at the sharp end while the championship reshapes itself. The next steps are practical: final negotiation details, public confirmation, and attention to off-season testing. Márquez is currently recovering from an earlier injury that ended his 2025 campaign, and Ducati, along with the rest of the paddock, will be watching winter testing to see how teams adapt ahead of the 2027 overhaul. If Márquez signs only until 2027, the coming season becomes both a title defense and an audition for the next era. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!